If you're new here, welcome to IMSA. This is the International Motorsport Association, and since 1969, it's been home to some of the world's best sports car and endurance racing at some of North America's best and iconic racing venues. There can be a lot to take in as a new fan of sports car racing, so let's get you up to speed on everything you need to know to follow along with IMSA. IMSA is all about multi-class racing, having a bunch of different types of cars all race each other on track at the same time. Here in IMSA, we have 4 different categories, and the top one is GTP. These are the fastest and most advanced, most high-tech race cars maybe on the planet, and they can sustain these crazy high levels of performance, sometimes for up to 24 hours of racing. There's a ton of different brands involved, from Porsche and BMW, Cadillac, Aston Martin, Acura, you name it, and more on the way every single year, and they showcase their speed at some of the best tracks in North America. You can spot them on track and on the broadcast by their black number plates and badging. And in the cars are some of the best in the world, from world championships, different types of racing. A lot of them end up competing here in IMSA, and that makes the racing exceptionally exciting, especially when you consider how different all of these cars are. This is where we tend to see the biggest variation from manufacturers in terms of styling cues, aerodynamic differences, engine layouts, powertrain configurations, you name it. A turbo V6 all the way up to a naturally aspirated V12. We've got it all here in GTP, and that's part of what makes it so exciting. Well, under GTP is LMP2, also purpose-built prototypes, but a little bit lower in cost to run, and this keeps the racing really, really close. Inside the car are a mixture of professionals and amateurs, which creates a really fun dynamic on track. And below that, we have our 2 GT classes. These are GT3-based race cars. They're based on the production luxury performance road-going models that you know and love, the Ferraris, the Porsches, the Lamborghinis, what have you. But make no mistakes, these are thoroughbred racing machines, and they are incredibly fast on track. GTD Pro, well, it's in the name. It's all professionals, gloves off, for sometimes up to 24 hours. And in GTD, like LMP2, it's a mixture of pros and amateurs, and they're all on track together at the same time. Well, competing in IMSA's 4 classes is its various different brands: Porsche, Acura, Cadillac, BMW M, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, Ferrari, Corvette, Ford, Mercedes-AMG, and of course Lexus. Some of these teams and cars are supported directly by the factory, and some of them are sold to customers. And it makes for a little bit of an interesting dynamic here in the paddock, but they're all here in the IMSA paddock. And to make the racing fair between all of these different manufacturers with their different designs and engine and powertrain layouts, we use balance of performance. It's a complex technical system, but basically what it does is it allows all of these different manufacturers with their wildly different cars to race fairly and compete closely on track. So how does the race weekend work? Well, you have a couple of practice sessions followed by separate qualifying for each individual class, and then we race. Everybody goes on track at the same time, and if you're the fastest in your class, your fuel and tire strategy works out, then you win. So for every race, we have our overall winners and then our separate class winners as well. And we mentioned endurance racing earlier. This truly is endurance racing. We'll race up to 24 hours. Our shortest races on the calendar, 100 minutes, all the way up to the 24 hours at Daytona, with different race lengths in between. So these are truly tests of endurance. And when you come into the pits to change fuel and tires, you're also swapping out your drivers a lot of times. And so for some of our longer endurance races, your 6, 12, 10, and 24-hour races, that can mean the difference between a win and a loss. And if you want to follow along, the best way to do it is to come to an IMSA race. It's one of the best fan experiences for any form of motorsport on the planet. And if you can't make it to the track and you're watching along at home, if you're doing that internationally, the best way to follow is at IMSA.tv or on our YouTube channel. And if you're following along here in the United States from home, it's on NBC and Peacock. And that's it. That's everything you need to know to get started with IMSA. We hope to see you at the track soon.